there's a great opportunity for independent visual effects artists and supervisors to take advantage of this hardware. It's not just the big studios, the big effects companies. The individual artists who, I mean, when I started in film in the 90s, there was a small community of artists that were working on this equipment, but now it's so competitive. There's so many artists that I know a lot of folks are going through the studio system, rising up to that system, but then there are a lot of independent artists as well who want to do things their own way. And I would say that Box is the system to take them on that journey. Trustworthy, affordable, powerful, does the job right. I'm from Texas, grew up in Texas, and went to school at North Texas. And then I started working with animation. It was very crude back then, you know, fewer colors, lower resolution, big storage. The 10 megabyte drive was this big, you know, like a giant disk. It was almost like steam coming out of it whenever you put it in. Anyway, and the computers themselves were, you know, in giant rooms, air conditioned. That's the old days. But fast forward through the years, got into animation, doing corporate and training videos and animation, and got into broadcast and at Video Post and Transfer in Dallas. And in 1990, I acquired a job at ABC, the ABC network in Los Angeles, and started doing primetime promo graphics and animation. So I was there for 2 years, and then I really wanted to make a jump to film. So I was fortunate that the technology was there and that my ability and desire was all there at the same time, where I was able to make a jump into film at Pacific Data Images. And the first feature I worked on was Double Dragon. Then was there about a year and was fortunate to be hired for a project. Now, most people get hired at a company, but I knew that there was this project going around town, and I was going to apply to whoever got that project. I was chasing a project, and that was Apollo 13. And fortunately, I had already applied with Digital Domain once before and was turned down, but I guess my persistence paid off. Worked on a couple of other commercials and features and decided to move to Canada. I moved to Vancouver and worked with Rainmaker Digital Pictures and Lost Boys Studios, where I was doing Canadian features, and MGM Television for Stargate SG-1, Poltergeist, The Outer Limits. And Free Willy 3 was probably the most known feature that I worked on up there, but it was all the same technology. It was just a different place to live, which I loved very much. And in '99, I moved here and set up shop, and I started a company called Tex Effects, and had an office, and we hired contractors as needed. Did some work on Spy Kids 2 and 3, and Kingdom Hospital for ABC. A longer list of independent narrative documentaries and features. Local filmmaker Keith Maitland just finished working on Tower, a documentary about the UT Tower shooting 50 years later. And he had a project before that called The Eyes of Me, where I was doing some compositing for him. And that project was nominated for an Emmy for the News and Documentary Emmys. So, you know, it's keeping me busy. I like being in Austin. I like working directly with the directors and producers to get creative in what we can do. You know, a lot of it is really about saving them money. So I can tell them that, you know, you can shoot it that way, or you can do it this way for less. And, you know, and you'll have a lot more flexibility. So just give them that option, and gotten to be pretty well known in the independent community in Austin for that. As the technology grew, the boxes got smaller, and the storage got smaller, and the processors got faster, and you were able to do more with a box that was smaller. And really kind of that was the beginning of this transition. Like, there was these big, huge computers, and they were slowly transitioning down. And when they got down to the size that they could fit on the top of your desk, then I thought, this might enable me to make a jump for myself to actually buy one of these computers. And in fact, I did buy a Silicon Graphics PC. They were trying to get into the PC market, and that didn't work out. So that's when I made the transition to something else, and Box is what I found to be my computer that I went to, and has helped me ever since. Well, at the time, it wasn't 12 years old. It was brand new technology. It was the latest and greatest. Had the latest operating system of Windows on it. It was really an easy transition to work on. Basically, Box just did what I wanted it to do, and did it quickly, efficiently. And at a certain point, I bought a second and a third workstation for contracting artists to come in and work on, and they networked together very well. And I bought 2 render boxes, which were in the rack to help us speed through renders, and everything just worked like clockwork. Everything that it said it would do, it did. I guess the system, what it allowed me at that point, was that I could modularly create my own network. I could make it as fast as I wanted it to be. With the 2 render boxes, we could be rendering offline over there while we're still working on shots in the shop. So basically just the fact that it was an architecture that I could assemble to satisfy my needs what made it work. I did take it up about a year ago just to see if I could upgrade, and they're just kind of, I think you need to get a new system. I think over the years I've had one issue where like a drive wasn't working, and really it's my own fault. I didn't keep my computers as clean as they should have been, and so I took it up and they vacuumed it for me, and then it was fine. I have done a little bit of work for Robert Rodriguez, who is local, but he has a studio here of artists, and has contracted me a couple of times. I'm more likely to market myself toward independent filmmakers who have a handful of shots. I'm not really that interested in creating a huge pipeline for 500 shots for a feature as much, because I'm more interested in human stories than science fiction, if that makes any sense. It's just a personal thing. There is a point in my career where I decided that I'm only going to work on projects that I want to be a part of. I want to contribute to the things that are meaningful to me. So for someone else, I would say, if you're into sci-fi and there's a studio feature coming your way, I say by all means take it. It's just not my personal story. I'm more into the dramatic narrative. I find that people are surprised that there's an effects guy that is concerned about story. I have given lectures at UT and other places where I've been giving a master class to filmmakers, and they're expecting me to come in and talk about all this technical stuff, and CGI and UV mapping and 3D space and lighting and everything, and those things are important, but I'm more interested in telling the story, and they're shocked that I'm an artist with a soul, and I'm a storyteller right alongside these other guys. And so I think it tells them, though, that it warms them up to the visual effects industry, that we're not all left-brain geeks that don't care about the aesthetics or the story itself. Future for me with visual effects is to continue to work with independent filmmakers in Austin, LA, New York, wherever. Could be around the world. The broadband is so accessible. I will continue to work with Box, but I will probably get a new system, and I will upgrade to a different level of software. We've come a long way since Combustion as far as what's out there, and I want to be able to keep up with what the demands are for the business. Even though independent filmmakers often don't really know anything about it, I'm looking at purchasing or utilizing Nuke from the Foundry and applying it to the box workstation that I'll be getting. Over the years, since I've become independent, I have a variety of different filmmakers that I'm working with, and they all work on different platforms. Some are Apple and some are PC. It's been very important for me to understand both. So I have a Mac workstation as well as a PC workstation, just so that I can take in anything that comes along and I can output anything that I need to output. So all the formats are covered, all the codecs are covered. I think of it more as a team of computers than pitting one against the other. So yes, I have my Apple. I also have the box workstation. The box is my PC of choice.